All right, you're live.
All right, we're live. This is Region 16 Board of Education. We'll be starting shortly. We are live. Please bear with us as we wait for our members to log in. Hi, Laura.
Don't see Keith and Ron.
Just text them.
So,
Does a great job looking for the overhand spire.
More to it.
I just never am.
Call me, talk to me, and I'll have to talk.
Yeah, thank you.
And then see where to go from there.
Oh, I just go to this, because, I mean, I just want to take minutes. Oh,
Michael, we're not expecting anybody else, I'm gonna have them lock the front door.
Correct.
Yeah, you can lock the front door.
so far, Jordan, we have a forum on this show, right? Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this Region 16 Board of Ed to order. I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone, since this is the first meeting of the new year. So please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is our clerk Lori or?
No.
No?
Kelly, are you online? Hi,
Kelly's
Kel.
on. Okay, Kel. Please take call roll.
Sure, Priscilla Curtola.
Here.
Ben Janzero.
Here.
Christine Arnold. Here. Eric Dye.
Here.
Robert Dyer.
Here.
Robert Hiscock.
Here.
Roxanne Valancourt. Here. Naji Nujay.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. Is there any revisions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from November 18, 2020.
So. Second.
Second. Additions, subtractions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Any town official comment?
No.
Public comment?
Yes. We have two questions that were uploaded. They actually were two Region 16 employees who live in the region. The first one was Elise Crack, Beacon Falls resident of Burton Road. Elise's question, I'm going to read them separately. They're actually almost identical questions, hers and the next one. If elementary and middle school goes 5 days a week in person, what will the plan be for the high school? Understandably, high school cannot go 5 days, but would you consider it sending them 3 days a week on a rotating schedule, optimizing the Wednesdays? So Hawks would go Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then next week go Monday and Thursday. So what she's asking, because I think people know by now, we've been very clear, architecturally, we cannot go full at the high school. she wants to know if we could switch up our schedule, which we've already switched it once before, to a 3-day on and a 2-day off, so it's 5 days every 2 weeks. Her second question is, can the high school school virtual schedule, revisit the virtual schedule on Wednesdays, where they're doing a 3-hour day till 11:45, could more instruction happen with teachers? So I'll submit this to the high school for them to weigh into it. The only thing I do want to say is, we've, as a board and the school, already changed the schedule, and we felt it was a positive change where we had the 8-period day, we went to the block schedule, so we did make a mid-year change. But I will pass that along, and then we'll reply to her via email after I speak to the high school. The second question was from Amy Lemaine, who's also an employee. She's a Prospect resident on Summit Road, and her first question is, can the high schools extend their virtual learning day as well, past 11:45, and can they move to a 3 in-person day alternating Wednesdays? I'm assuming it's the same question, so we'll get back to both those individuals with the answers, and we could revisit it as a high school. But would anybody on the board have any input into that? Would anybody like to say anything as a board?
I'd like to get a staff reaction to it and see the logistics of doing it, whether it's feasible.
That's what I thought, it's better to go through
And
the
I'd also ask for, we don't know, is Galvin or
Send me their email addresses again.
somebody on from the students, what the student reaction?
No, the
is.
student council's not here, they're studying for finals tonight.
And get the student reaction to it as well, because I still believe that the more contact they have with each other in the buildings is positive as opposed to having the remote day. But if they're on a solid schedule, the high school kids react the best to that schedule that they're on with the distance learning. But I'd like to hear their input before making.
I'll have student council weigh in on it.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is we did do a survey, and we did change to the block schedule
Right,
and the
right.
virtual per the students. Their
Right.
input was the schedule we did put in.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
I personally won't weigh in on this now, but I will later.
I'd like to hear feedback from the people that are most affected, so the staff and the students.
And that's what I'll do. Thank you.
Okay. Correspondence? Do you have any?
There's a ton of them.
Okay.
I gave you all
in the
my
correspondence-
gave you all my weekly
Yes,
updates.
I have them, and I appreciate them, and I thank you very much for keeping the communities alerted to what is going on.
There's 2 other ones, though, that should probably be mentioned. Shelley Pilla, who retired last year, she sent us a little note to thank us for the little gift we gave her at the end of the year. And Shelley's a wonderful person. I'm glad she's enjoying retirement, and she still praises Region 16. And she wished everyone a happy new year, so thank you to Shelley Pilley. And also Mark Perino had sent me something that I wanted to share with the board, and it was that we had a contractor come in, Ian Dennis, and they worked on Region 16 Stage 3 tandem installations, correct?
Yes, that was the final balance of the new paper towel dispensers for Laurel Ledge and Prospect Elementary.
And what they basically said is Region 16 staff stepped up and helped us during these crazy times with the pandemic, and it was probably the most helpful staff we've ever worked with, and I wanted to praise them and commend the maintenance and the facilities team. So that was nice. I figured I'd put it into the board packet.
Yeah, it was nice.
Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Treasurer's report, another?
Balance of the general fund as of today is $4,619,334.93. Tonight's invoices total $2,597,169.74. General fund, $2,552,035.46. Federal and state grants, $3,042. Adult ed other grants, athletic fund, $42,091.28. Capital non-recurring project 0.
Thank you. No student rep report tonight? There's
No, they're studying
midterm?
for midterms, Joe.
Okay, there's not very people? Okay, report of superintendent.
Okay. I'd like to see if we have the auditors online.
They're struggling to get in. Matt and I are both trying to work with them.
Yeah, trying to get them on. I don't see them requesting, but they seem
Did they
to,
call in? Did you give them a phone number?
well, I gave them an invite to the meet. If they have Tony, if you have phone numbers, I can have them remotely dialed by Google.
Well, we
Try
can
to do it
continue
that way.
on and then they can come
You have
on
the
when
cell
they
phone number?
go live.
I have Keith's.
So call Keith, so let's try to move that forward if we can, Tom.
Yeah, we'll just move it
In the
so they're.
meantime, I'll keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
That's fine. So I do have a couple things I wanted to talk about since the packet. One is, we had an administrative meeting today that was a good meeting. It was, a lot of conversation about where we are with vaccines, where we are with COVID, where we are with distance learning. So although it's not on, I kind of wanted to give a brief update. So as a whole, PES has 40 students that have opted out for distance learning at this time, which is 7% of their population. Laurel Ledge has 29, which is 11%. Long River has 65, which is 13%, and Woodland has 100, which is 15%. We had 2 weeks ago 265 students distance learning. We now have 234. So we have more kids coming back right now. So that's good information. We've had mixed information for the last 2 months with the state, with VAMS, which is the Vaccine Administration Management, and with the health district. Even as of Friday, we were told they were opening clinics. We put together lists of priorities, and we had our people going to get their vaccines Wednesdays and Thursdays. That was shut down Saturday night. So I feel terrible for our staff. I know people are trying the best. So we've signed up 2 or 3 times. Some people have gotten the vaccine, and we've been shut down again. At this point, we're not hearing good things, that we may be pushed back till March, which is not good information. But I will say one thing, our staff at Region 16 has been so gracious and so supportive, because I've been giving this information, sending emails out, and because I'm trying to get our people in for the vaccine as quick as possible. But as soon as we sign up, we get pulled back. And I think that's been going on at the state. And I don't think it's any one person's fault. I think the rollout, the number of vaccines, the ability to get maybe 75 and older people through in frontline has caused that problem. So we're kind of on hold right now. As far as the school system as a whole, we have about 40 students that are presently quarantined. We only have 2 students that I'm aware of that are presently positive. And we have 3 staff members that are positive, but should be coming back this week. So as a whole, we're doing really well and we're healthy. We did have a little spike with the holidays, as they said we would, but we're back in school and things are going well. There'll be a weekly update Friday with that. As far as the bringing K-8 back, we started our initial conversations about that. We did it internally with the leadership team. We also met with the teachers union. I'd be perfectly honest, I was feeling better about it knowing teachers were getting the vaccines and we were moving forward with this. With what's happening, we're gonna have to readdress it. I do want us to go 5 days a week. I just don't know if it's gonna be a realistic possibility. We're hitting some roadblocks at this point, but we will continue to meet and keep the community updated on that. That's kind of a summary of where we've been the last 2 weeks, although it wasn't on the agenda as an update. I thought it was important to talk about. Any questions for clarification or concerns? Nothing?
I mean, you just said, where are we with that Wednesday and bringing them back 5 days?
It's getting challenging. Teachers, you know, I think there's a number of reasons why it's getting challenging. And we'll start hashing that out, but we did start having our internal meetings. We are shooting for the end of February, hopefully by the first week of March. I know parents want to do it, I know our staff wants to do it, but I just don't know if it's going to be possible at this
The
point.
board would like to do it too, when appropriate.
Yeah, when
I
ready.
mean, that's my feeling.
So on February 10th at our next board meeting, we'll either have a plan as to moving forward, how we're going to do it, or a gradual release of it. So I'll be ready for February 10th at our next meeting to talk about it. Okay, that'll be on our
Okay,
Friday.
Mike, we are on now.
Okay, thanks. Then I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have you jump right in, Keith. So Keith, just for the record, I'd like you to introduce yourself, who you're with, the audit. You have, the Board of Ed is both virtual and live, so I think you can see us, correct?
He's audience.
Yeah, I'm on voice only.
Okay, so
It wasn't working for
there's 4 board members here at district office with Mark, our facilities director, Tony, business director, Matt, IT, Michelle Rayner, and obviously myself. The rest of the board members, some of the administrators are online like you are, okay, Keith?
Not a
All
problem.
right, so you might as well begin forward. Everybody has a book in front of them, and the Board of Ed members that are at home, we had books delivered to them today as well.
Excellent.
You pass that down, please.
Well, thank you, Michael, and what I'd like to start off is I'd like to thank Mike, Tony, and the staff. They were really professional and accommodating. You know, obviously with the current restrictions, it's difficult to do some of the things we needed to do. Some of the things you've got to be there, internal control testing and things like that. And the staff, led by Michael and Tony, were great and very helpful, and we were able to get a successful audit through. Before I go into the financials, I just want to give a couple of highlights of the overall process and where things stand at the district. One of the things I want to say is that the process is, in terms of the financial system and what we deal with, continue to improve. We have seen the organization continues to integrate its processes into the Alio system, utilizing the system as much as it allows. In the past, there were certain accounting functions that were done outside of Alio. Things, every year it's gotten better and better. We move more and more stuff onto Alio. It's better for internal control, and it gives a clearer picture and a more real-time picture. So all of that has been excellent. The management's goal is to reduce the debt, and they've been approaching it in two ways, and we've been successful at that. Every opportunity to fund CapEx out of either current funds or out of other grants has been done, but we haven't borrowed any new money in quite some time. We also have applied, or not we, but the district has applied any undesignated revenue that was available to pay down debt. One of the things that has made this possible over the last 5 or 6 years, we have gotten much better at our budget. Our budgets are much tighter than they've been in the past, and all of that is all, positive things, and it's causing positive outcomes. Obviously, there were a lot of...
By Keith, by
difficulties
tighter,
this
does
year.
that mean that the surplus has been less, is what you're saying at the end of the year? Yes. So we're doing a better job budgeting.
Yeah, we're much more on target to where we need to be. And there's not big swings from budget to actual. Moving on to the financials. Let's start on page 2. I'll give you guys a second to get there. Page 2 is the second page of the account auditor's report, and it shows on the top in opinion that we had an unmodified opinion. That is the standard opinion, which means that we had no real issues or problems. We believe that the financials are materially correct in aggregate and by funds. We also issued other reports which are not included here, but we did a report on the EFS, an agreed upon procedures report. We did a state single audit report, and we did a federal single audit report. All of those reports, which the second to our compliance audits, were all done. We had no reportable conditions and no issues or negative outcomes in the steps that we took to complete those reports. Moving on to page 10. Page 10 is called the Statement of Net Position. Another name for this is the government-wide financial statement. This is the financial statement of the entire school district. Later on, we're going to talk about the stuff that's more pertinent to funds, the general fund and operations. But one thing I wanted to point out on here is if you look at midway down at the liabilities, under non-current liabilities, that shows in summary the amount of bonds that are due within 1 year and that are due more than 1 year. As you can see, well, you can't see here, but we will later on, is we have had no new debt during the current year, and we completely paid off 2 bonds as of 6/30/20. Moving on to page 12. Page 12 is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. This eliminates fixed assets, debt, and some of the other things that are on the government-wide financials. These are more pertinent to your year-over-year operations. If you look in the fund balance section, we have member town 661,286. That is the money that is restricted for to do back to the member towns. The other number that is of note on this is assigned to debt service, which is 161,469. That is the balance of the money we received, Ryan, was it 2 years ago or 3? 2 years ago from the state to pay down our bond issues. We had 161,469 left of that at the end of the year. That has been used during the current period we're in right now to pay off debt. So that balance is down to 0. There was no additional money that came in from the state this year for that purpose. If we move on to page 14. Page 14 is the income statement that goes along with the balance sheet that we were just looking at for the governmental funds. And a couple things to highlight there. I'll get more into the general fund when we talk the budget to actual, which is a required supplementary item in the back of the financial statements. But if you look at column 2 under major funds, food service, what you'll see is we had a income of $1,224. That is where you see net change in fund balance. That's the same as the income for the year. That is sort of to reach that number, we had to transfer $49,592 out of the general fund in order to cover the losses in food service this year. The actual loss for food service for the year was $48,368. Now, a couple things on that loss. The loss in food service and the revenue loss, which is up on the top line that the revenues received, were significantly affected by the COVID shutdown, which was mandated by the state. So when we shut down the schools, obviously there was a significant loss in revenue. At the same time, the state required us to continue to pay the staff. So prior to March, we had a net income in food service. So we were actually moving along at a pretty good pace, and then COVID hit, and I'm sure you guys are aware of
We went broke.
problems. Yes. Thank you for putting it succinctly. And Tony can talk to you a little bit more about where we are right now, because we're experiencing a lot of the similar problems in the current fiscal year for the food service. Moving on to page 29. Just page 29 and page 30 and page 31, all the way to 32, is just the detail of our debt and bonds. As you can see, the first two bonds on this page, on page 29, have zero balances. We are on target to make a good dent in the debt also in the 2021 year end. The other items that are in here besides the bonds are the liability for compensated absences and other leave benefits, and the net pension liability, which you see as the 611 and the 172. The rest of the debt that the district has is bond issuances. And in these schedules following, it shows how they will be paid off unless we pay some of them off earlier over the next couple of years. On page 32 is the summary of the bonds, the debt service requirements, at the top of page 32. Moving on to page 45. I'm just pointing out on note 16. This is just a new note we're required to put in the financials, and the district is obviously well covered for risk management. They do a good job of that, and with the insurances we have and how the school handles things, it's a non-issue. If you go to page 46, that is also another new required note, and that is the uncertainties note, which is on the current COVID virus situation. To come up with the wording for this, we utilized some of the guidance from the AICPA and the uniform guidance and the state supplemental, and also went over it with Michael and Tony. So that is the note that kind of describes where things are on COVID, and what it says is kind of we don't know what's going on going forward. So moving on to page 48. Is a required supplemental information that lists the original budget, final budget, the actual, and variances. We actually, despite, and I was surprised about this, despite the, what went on with COVID and everything, we actually lined up pretty well year over year. And I think I give credit to Michael and Tony and the staff for kind of keeping on top of this stuff as well as they did. If you look at the first line, you see the largest discrepancy, the 1.6 million, and that is offset by the 1.2 million, which is on the next page. At the bottom is contingencies, and that's really an accounting way of that we have to split things out. It has to do with the payments coming in from the town and how we report them, and those two numbers pretty much offset each other. If you go to the salaries and expenditures, especially the benefits, under expenditures you see employee benefits, that's our largest next variance. That is a good variance for us, and we've been doing better with the contracts. Moving on to food service again, there's the $49,000. It's down in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spot. The food service, we had the losses that we had to cover, the $49,592. That was due to cover that COVID that came out of food service. are pretty straightforward. There's a lot of information in these financials. They tend to be very technical and pretty difficult to get through. There's a lot on the pension funds in there. A lot of that information doesn't really relate to the district that much, but we've got to report it. Tony prepared a MD&A in the first 5 pages of these financials, which gives a great synopsis of all the numbers we have in here.
Keith, I have 2 questions for you. One, what is the end of the year surplus that we'll have to decide if we vote to put it in capital and non-recurring, if it goes back to towns? And just an overall statement, I feel like we're a healthy district. We put a $600,000 HVAC system in at Long River, and we haven't increased our debt. So those are really just 2 summative statements I'm looking for you, Orion.
Yes. Yep, and I completely agree with that. And the numbers, Ryan, what number do you have in front of you?
661, 286.
On what page?
Page 12.
Page 12, 661, 286.
So 661, 286 is the number we'll be talking about at our February 10th Board of Ed meeting.
Right, that is the money that if you're going to put any into the capital non-reach, that's where it will come from.
Or go back to the towns.
Or go back to the town, right?
And with that being said though, but Keith, with that being said, because I want people to hear it, the 671 is the money we have, but the towns also didn't make part of their last ECS payment last year when the state cut their money.
Correct.
So that number would have been a little higher.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, if we change that, that would just take the money from the line 661, 286 on page 12, and it would transfer some of the funds into the capital non-recurring, which is 322, 583. That 322, 583 is already a decreased number. Tony would know what the current number is right now, because a certain amount of that was used for projects, correct,
Well,
Tony?
it was 330 going into the school year. Tony's used it this year.
Correct, we paid off the
Correct,
HVAC.
that's correct.
We paid the HVAC off with it, which is why you put money in non-recurring, so you don't have to absorb debt. So my feeling has always been, if we take a small percentage of what we have left over and we let it accumulate, we can do a $600,000 HVA system at Long River. If you don't do that, you just increase your budget and it goes to taxpayers that year, where you can build it up over time.
Right, or you've got to go up with something like that, and obviously that's too small, sort of, to put out a bond issuance for. But yeah, those are your only other options.
Just a point on that,
Go ahead.
Mike, we already transferred 186 into capital, so we're at 220,000 that we still have,
In capital.
no, that we can move into capital. Because it's a 1% cap, and we've already moved 186
No, but you moved it into what?
into capital.
So what do we have in capital? What do we have in the capital non-recurring right now? I
As
thought
of
we-
right this moment, we have 137,000.
Correct, so that's all we have in it. You have in contingency the other money, I think.
What I'm saying is, to cover COVID expenses, the board voted to move 186,000 into capital a few months ago. So we've already moved 186. Knowing that we can only move 1% of our budget into capital non-recurring, we have 220,000 left that we could potentially move if that's what we wanted to do.
If we wanted to, yeah, but we'll talk about that on February 10th. But what do we have in capital right now?
137,000.
We only have 137,000. What do we have in contingency?
At this moment, 200,000.
Okay, and we can vote to move another 200,000, because we can move 10%, where 1%, where other towns that aren't regional can move 2%.
Correct.
And what does that leave for the towns?
Well, we'll talk about that on the 10th. Let's do that on the 10th, let's not jump. Any question for board members on the budget, any issues?
Okay, the $48,000 loss in food service.
Yes.
It's gonna get
And,
worse.
huh?
It's gonna get worse.
And the money we got from the state or federal to the state to us,
Yes.
were we able to cover that 48?
The discussion we had at the same time we talked about the 186,000 moved into capital non-recurring was covering that $49,592 from operating and using the remainder of the ESSER funds to cover expenses that occurred this year.
Okay.
We're hoping, we're in pretty good shape. We're hoping to get another $90,000 to $100,000 in reimbursement for COVID.
Current issue.
Current this year, we're hoping to. Now, we don't know what that's gonna be, we're doing all the paperwork. We got our initial allocation back, and we got some ESSER money, which was $75,000. So we're about $100,000 off, Tom?
I'm trying to clarify the question. We moved 186, which freed up 186,000 in this year's budget. If we look at it that way, we're close to net zero. But we would still be getting money back from the state to cover expenses that 186 was using for. So it would free up money from COVID at that point.
We
So-
fronted the money, we're waiting.
We
to be
fronted the
reimbursed.
money.
Correct.
We're hoping to get back about $100,000 more. If not, we'll be short, which we'll be fine with our general budget. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, and Tony knows this, and it's a little premature, we're going into budget season, and we're gonna talk on February 10th about what to do with the overage. We're gonna be tight. We're $200,000-300,000. That's where we are. We're $600,000 to $800,000, which I think is the right number. 6, 7 years ago, we were $1.5 million. I think a budget like ours, we wanna be $650,000, $700,000 at the end of the year. We're not gonna be that way at the end of this year regardless, because of the year we had. As far as food service, it continually gets less, and Tony, you can talk about that, half the students and where we are, maybe for a few minutes to get back to Priscilla's question.
Maybe you're gonna cover this, I just, my understanding was, I guess my question is, where are the losses in food service coming from? Because my understanding was that they were reimbursing for the meals, the state feds.
They are reimbursing for the meals, but our staff costs are more than we're making back in reimbursement.
So we would charge more for the lunch program meals than we're being reimbursed for. Is that
No, the
accurate?
participation would be higher.
You gotta remember, Robert, we're not in
They're
school.
participating less for free meals?
No, but hold on. We're not in school on Wednesdays.
Yep.
We have half the population at the high school. So our lunch program, we're only down to 4 employees there, but overall, let's think about it. Instead of having 700 kids a day, we only have 350. And then we're only there 4 days a week instead of 5 days.
But don't the students come and pick up enough meals for the subsequent days that they're not there?
If the participation is there, yes.
No, they don't, because we're not serving a meal. If half the population is there Monday and half the population is Tuesday, we're not coming in on a Monday to pick up your lunch if you're home doing distance learning. So no, we're not picking up enough meals, Robert, while we're serving meals to make up for the difference.
We're also not selling things like ice cream, chips.
Yeah.
We're giving meals out. Now, one of the things we did in December to try to offset that is we opened up breakfast at the elementary schools. So now every elementary school kid is getting breakfast on the way out the door every day.
Yep.
That's bringing in about $1,000 to $1,200 a day in revenue. Now, we haven't realized that yet in our profit and loss statement yet because we haven't received the reimbursement for it yet, but it is something that we've done to try to offset those losses.
Okay. So our problem is participation.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's because our average daily attendance is 50% less, and then it's probably 40% less for the week.
So this is a really, really basic question, but is it feasible to, when the students do come on those days, are we still providing lunch for them, curbside pickup for kids who are not in school that day?
No.
We are providing curbside pickup 1 day a week, and we allow them to take seven meals at that point.
And do we get credit for 7 meals?
If they take 7 meals, yes.
Okay.
But not every family is showing up and asking for 7 meals, whereas if they were in
Okay.
school, they might be taking a meal, they might be buying a meal.
Okay.
And here's the other thing, we can't run the kitchen with the employees we have to serve breakfast and meals for the kids that are in school, and then also make meals and send them out that day as well, because then we'd have to double our staff.
I'm just making sure that kids are being fed and we're being reimbursed as we should be.
Well,
That's-
kids are definitely being fed, we're giving them breakfast whether they want it, okay, great. But as far as the idea that we're losing money in food service, we're no different than anyone else. It's a really challenge right now. I think Tony and Patricia did a good job by starting to give out the breakfast at the end of the day, but that requires more work as well. We gotta give breakfast out at the end of the day, we then gotta count it, we gotta know how many people took it. So you're also gonna increase the number of hours staff has to work.
Sure.
It's a never-ending battle.
Are we concerned, Tone, about the viability of the lunch program in general after, post-COVID? Are we gonna lose cafeteria staff and things like that because they're finding other things to do?
No, I don't believe so. Our staff are happy with the situation as it is right now, and once it improves, I think it can only get better.
We're down one employee in the region. We're down one custodian and one food service person.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions, anything else? Keith, anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it. Just once again, thanks for the opportunity to work with you guys. And if anybody has any other questions, you can talk to Michael or Tony, and they'll get over to us, and we'll be glad to answer them.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Just for the
All right,
group.
take it easy, guys.
Thank you. Just for the group, on February 10th, we'll be coming to you with the budget, and it'll be your decision to make if we vote and put more in capital and recurring, or if we give it back to the towns as a reduction in payments.
Everybody can think about that for homework.
Yeah, I think so. I'll continue to move forward. The items I have remaining aren't as big. One is the yearbook. We all agree collectively that this has been a disaster for these poor students and parents. Basically, what happened is the school, working with the yearbook vendor, they tried to postpone it a little bit because of the fact that we didn't have a graduation, we were looking to take pictures. As a result of doing that, it never got done. We kind of feel like they got overwhelmed. James Amato, I've probably spoken with him 4 or 5 times, and Kurt on this. He does keep postings on Schoology, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok about what's going on. They did offer money back for anybody that wants it. They're hoping the yearbooks get delivered directly to the houses by the end of the month. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but I will stay on top of it from our office. I don't have any more answers for it.
All right, so
I think with COVID coming, that's why it became a problem, and then I think this company got overwhelmed with it.
Okay, but they are still getting a yearbook.
They're telling us they're gonna get it, yes.
Okay, and if they don't, you'll tell us on the 10th.
It could be to the 24th, because he said the end of the month,
The end of this month?
not the year.
We're meeting February 10th.
And we'll meet the 24th, that's the 10th is the beginning of the month.
This is budget meeting.
Wait, are they getting the yearbooks the end of
I'm sorry, the end of
January?
February, I apologize, Priscilla, the end of
Oh,
February.
okay.
The end of February, they should be having the yearbooks delivered. So
Okay,
on the February
okay,
24th,
all
I'll
right,
give you an update
okay,
on
So
it.
the March meeting, all right. All right.
Michael, can I say something?
Absolutely, Christine.
Yeah, Mr. Amato sent out a real nice email, or through Schoology it was, to the parents explaining what happened with the yearbooks and how they were trying to, rectify by, putting the graduation pictures and all that. So I thought it was nice that he sent that out to everybody. So I just wanted to say that because I received it as a parent. So.
Thank you, Christine. And I think that's smart, because parents aren't on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, I don't have any of them. So he was keeping the kids informed, but the parents were the ones that were paid, and the parents want, the kids want it for 1 week, the parents want to get the yearbook. I get it, I get it. So that's where we are with that. Thank you. As far as facilities update, we had a great meeting tonight, 45 minutes. The highlights are the energy efficient project at both Woodland and Long River are basically 100% complete. Some minor things we're working on. And we have realized at Woodland, for instance, a 10,000 reduction in the cost of electricity already. So we're eager that that's going to work well. Greenleaf did a good job for us. Our maintenance projects are on track. We started working on our capital improvement projects for the next 5 years, and you'll be seeing that in budget. We also are going to be going out to bid on our grounds, snow plow, snow removal, pest control. We were going to have a conversation with rubbish removal with the companies we've been using, and we may or may not go out to bid on that. I feel like there's great communication with our facilities committee, because these buildings require work constantly, and I think our maintenance department and our custodial staff has done a fantastic job, not just with their daily tasks, but with the COVID cleaning and everything else. I think that should be commended. There aren't any huge concerns down the road, like a great number of them, but there are concerns with costs. We do have some heating issues that we're going to try to work out at Laurel Ledge, and the track is still on the short, long-term plan. as well as some generator upgrades at our 4 schools. That's basically where we are at facilities. We will post the notes from the facility meeting online by next week, so you can have an update of that 45-minute meeting. I don't know if there's any questions. I know this board went through it. Anyone that's online now that has a question about facilities? Roxy, Christine, Eric? I know Ben participated. Great, thank you. Excellent. And Ben was at the meeting. As far as budget season, we're well into it. Tony and I, by the end of the week, will start be putting together some of our draft numbers. We'll then meet with the administrators again, and we'll get into bartering with the schools to see what we gotta cut, what we wanna keep in. We have some questions going on. Our first meeting will be February 24th, and I think we'll be ready for it at that point. Tom, do you wanna add to the budget season, the meeting at all?
No, just that I think it's going very well, especially only having been here a year and a half now. I think we're moving right through it. We're utilizing Alio as much as possible to do the budgeting process for us this year, and I think it's going very well.
Great. I think something Tony told me, you know, we kind of badmouthed Alio for years.
Yes.
But I think what's happening is we have new staff in the business department that has really gotten to know how to use Alio. And I think we're using it better, and we're actually fairly happy with it at this point, is my understanding.
Thank you.
I think the level of technical expertise in the department is a big help there. They understand the software, they understand how it communicates in different pieces, and I think that's been very helpful.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. That was a big pain in my side. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the 2019-2020 audit?
So moved.
Second? And Robert, discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Kelly, are you getting that, or do they need to say their name when they make a when they move it and do a second? Would you like them to say their name?
I can recognize their voices, and then Priscilla verified that the second was Robert
Thank
Ryan.
you.
So yeah, I understand.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, opposed? All right, motion passes. An act to approve the revised 2020-2021 school calendar, February through June 2021. Is there anything on?
Can I just
Yeah,
explain
go
that?
ahead. Yeah.
So what happened is we didn't know where we were gonna be with the pandemic. So we approved virtual Wednesdays and half the calendar, and figured we'd come back and approve it. We were all kind of hoping for the best, well, it didn't work out that way. So what we're basically doing is we're extending the virtual Wednesdays at this point. If we choose to make a change, we'll be back at board meeting anyway if we go for 5 days a week. But that's also based on our reopening plan, which gives us the ability to do that outside of the board meeting. So what we basically are doing is extending the virtual Wednesdays, and we're removing one of our collab days, which was February 3rd, because it's on a virtual Wednesday. And we had a lengthy conversation about it today at admin. It'll be virtual on the 3rd. On the 12th of February, it's PD, so there's no class, and then we're off for the President's Weekend, Monday and Tuesday. So we felt like throwing another collab day in was too much time for learning. So that's really the only change, Priscilla.
Okay.
Do we want to wait passing it based on the discussion and the feedback from the staff on the questions that came in? As far as going 3-2 or whatever?
I would pass it now because we're already into it now, and we're gonna do virtual Wednesdays. As far as a change in the schedule, that won't be affected by this. Which will be affected would be the K-8 if we go 5 days. But as a result of our reopening plan, we could do that as well outside of the calendar. The virtuals are built in, but we'll be back here February 10th and 24th if we need to. I would like to pass it because it's already January.
Can we amend the calendar if we decide later?
Yeah. You know, we've amended it 5 times
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, no problem there.
We might amend it in an hour. Who knows?
Just curious question. So the last day of school is the, is it?
It's the 11th,
June 11th.
June 11th.
Okay. So then up here where it says, if we had cancellations, it would be 10 days going from
Down
25th.
there.
But we don't have cancellations,
Not
so,
at this point.
okay. So it is the 11th still. Okay,
That's
thank you.
right.
All right, any other questions?
No,
Hearing none, all those in favor?
I need a motion.
Oh, sorry, somebody got to make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second, by
I'll second it.
Bob. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, hearing none, it passes. Act to approve the proposed 2022 school calendar. Can I have a motion first and then a question?
So moved.
Okay, second
Second.
by Bob, okay. Questions?
I have a question.
Go.
March 10th and 11th, can we move that March 10th half day to the 11th? Make it Friday?
We can, I don't like to do that all the time. We did do it in May. We also did it in October. So I kind of don't like to have every Friday as the half collab day. I like to mix it up. So what would the reason be for moving it?
I was just thinking mostly that if hopefully things are clear and everybody, the families need to take the kids out early and go for a long weekend, that was my only thought.
But you could do that on 6 other months.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to take them out
All
early.
right, well, I don't have
That
a
was
vote.
only-
I don't have a vote, but I don't
What's-
think you
what's
should be
your-
doing it every Friday. I think our
Just
focus for
within-
180 days should be in school learning,
No, I
not long
understand,
weekends.
and I understand that they'll leave half a day on the Friday instead of going half a day on Thursday, so that was my whole point. I'm not saying don't go to class that Friday, I'm just saying they'll be able to leave earlier. That's-
Well, if I'm going away with a family vacation on half a day, I'm just gonna take the whole day. So respectfully, I don't think it should be coming from this board meeting that you should. But that's your decision.
Further discussion? Nobody has a suggestion? Where's everyone else on it?
To move the 10th to the 11th.
I think leave it where it is.
Anyone else?
Owing to the fact that it's been a tough year for people in terms of recreation, I tend to agree with Nazi's position, only because of the circumstances. I think I'm more in line with Michael's thinking under normal circumstances, but we're not under normal circumstances.
No problem.
You're looking at
Ben,
March
Christine,
22.
Roxy?
You're looking at next year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a whole year away, so I mean, we hope to be normal by then.
well,
hope so.
they just pushed one D out even further, so.
I just was wondering why in March, why are they so close together? Is there a reason they're one?
One's parent-teacher conference, one's collab day, Christine.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Parent teachers is a requirement there. No problem,
Okay.
good question, good question. And we do make mistakes, believe me.
It doesn't matter, it's just a suggestion, so.
So, fine either way, whatever you guys think. I'll keep it in mind.
Are we amending it or keeping it?
So I'll make a motion to amend it, so that
We'll make a motion to approve it
All right.
with the amendment,
With the change.
with the change from the 10th to the 11th,
Can we
that's
just do
collab
the
day.
friendly amendment? and not
An
do the whole
editorial
resolution?
change.
All right, so I'll make the motion.
I just don't mean, I
Yeah,
don't
we
even put a
can do it,
motion,
yeah.
I just mean the friendly.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Not even a motion, it's just gonna be a friendly,
Okay.
as long as we're all in agreement, that's where it's going.
No, you haven't approved it, so you should just,
We should
you should make you should
Make a
act
motion with changing the date.
to approve the
Yeah.
proposed school calendar, changing the March 10th day
All
to the
you need
11th.
to do
Correct.
is ask the
Correct.
maker and the seconder if they agree with the
I
change,
do.
Correct.
and the original
Correct.
motion moves forward. That's
That
all.
would be in the motion, yes.
It doesn't have, you don't even have to make
Kelly,
a
did you
motion,
get
just
that?
ask the maker and the seconder if they agree with the change, that's the new motion.
Kelly, did you get that?
Editorial change, that's all.
Well, I would forget about the first and second on that motion, just change the motion altogether and new people first and seconding?
Yes,
Okay,
okay,
I made the motion, Bob seconded it.
okay.
okay, so we're sticking with those, okay.
All right, my question, April vacation, Good Friday is the 15th, which is at the end, the last day of April vacation. Is there a reason that April vacation is that week, not the following week?
Spring break is the 11th to the 15th.
Right, but Good Friday is the 15th.
Easter's
We've had those in the past.
I think we
Right,
went
and we
with, I
got
think we
criticized
went,
for it, that's
I
why
think
I'm wondering.
I've also used that week to go away, to visit family for Easter.
Oh,
on
before,
Sunday and
oh,
Easter.
before Easter, okay.
Right, for Palm
That was-
Sunday and
I
Easter.
think Good Friday's a week late next year.
that's what it is.
I think Good Friday's a week late, because it's basically the same week as it is this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes later.
Good Friday's the 15th,
Yeah, Good Friday's a week earlier this year than it is next year.
correct. I mean, in some weeks we have it, the last week of the month.
Right.
Right.
So I'm just curious.
I think it was because it was later, and this is what the ACES calendar looked like, and we kind of go regionally, we kind of go off of what they're doing.
All right. No one has any concerns with that?
I've used that week when to visit family,
Okay.
to Canada, Palm Sunday, and.
The only thing I'll tell you is it's really close to the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you push that vacation week, the 18th to the 22nd, you're saying, Priscilla?
Yeah.
That means it leaves you 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 4 weeks, and then you have final exams. Final exams span 2 weeks at the high school.
So everyone's happy
Easter
where it
is
is?
the 17th, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think it was because we split the difference with time left in the year. That's all.
Okay. Hearing no complaints. All right. Any other questions for the calendar? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It carries with the one change. All righty. Act to approve the administrator's bargaining agreement from 7/1/21 to 6/30/24. Michael, do you want to address that?
No. I think it's in the everyone's had it for 2 months, I'm
Yeah.
assuming everybody read it. I think it was a great process. I think administrators in this region, we're very fortunate to have them. They're an unbelievable group of people, and I think it's a good contract, and I think, I'm proud of the staff and of the contract that was put forth.
Yes,
If only all of our negotiations could go that well.
if only. Okay, hearing none. Can I have a
I'll move to approve the contract.
motion by Bob and seconded by
I'll
Robert?
second.
Roxy?
Oh, Roxy, sorry, by Roxy.
Thanks, Rox.
Thank you.
I assume it's been ratified?
Yes, yes. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, act to approve new business office assistant job description.
So moved.
Anyone have any questions?
Is there a second?
Did you get a second? I'll second it.
Robert did a second. No questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Act to approve, act to consider request to allow a non-resident student to continue to attend Region 16 school and pay tuition until the end of the 2021 school year.
So moved.
Everyone has it in their packet.
I'll make the motion to approve the request.
Well, nothing made the motion, you can do the second.
And the second, and to include in the motion that the tuition payments would begin effective tomorrow.
Can I speak to it, Bob?
Yes, go ahead.
So,
However you recommend we do it.
yeah, we have a third grade student who moved out of district, which was kindergarten, first grade, second grade, so it's just third. They moved out December 16th. They asked the principal, they then asked me, we had a lengthy conversation, I thought it was appropriate, they're a Prospect resident, to call Bob, who's the assistant chair, and get his take on it, because it's a board policy about tuition students. I think it was all done very respectfully, and had a conversation with Bob. If they stayed in the region, I explained to them they'd have to pay, and it's about $15,000 a year that would be prorated. And I think they're going to want to do that. With that being said, I went and got some information from our accountants to make sure that they're not recorded as a Prospect resident. Because when we get paid, the money that comes in would go 65% Prospect, 35% Beacon Falls. They're considered a non-resident student. So it does not get charged to either one, because I thought that was very, very important. Because I didn't want one town to be burdened versus another one being in the Prospect school system. I also looked into class sizes. It would not cost our region any more money to hire a teacher or anything. So I think the enrollment would stay the same. It would be no additional charges, but we won't get reimbursed from the state, so they would be charged tuition, which is consistent with our policy. So I think it was a good conversation, I think it was addressed appropriately, so that's what's in front of you.
And
And
the
it would be to
$15,000
keep-
tuition gets applied towards prospect share of the budget, right?
That's what I'm saying, doesn't get from the away. I wanted to make sure of that, so it just goes into our fund, which then goes back as, I think, some type of revenue, I forgot what it was called.
Miscellaneous revenue.
Miscellaneous
It-
revenue.
It comes off the top, the same way our state and federal grants.
Correct.
and-
I was being facetious.
So we would act to approve them as a tuition student till the end of this school year.
Is there a particular reason why the motion says act to consider request instead of act to approve?
No, it should say act to approve.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
Second. Actually, we made, whatever.
I think you made
We
it.
made,
Yeah, Bob made the motion.
we did, and with Nuzzy, no,
Okay.
they got, the motion is
We're
made
good.
and seconded. Isn't our yearly almost 16 something?
We have a number, I want to say it was $15,600.
Okay, all right, well, whatever it is, it will still be prorated.
Correct.
And from what Bob had said was in the motion, but I don't want it to be there if that's not the date that you're using
I would
it.
say, my feeling was the day we came back from break,
Okay,
so it would be, I need glasses.
January.
January 4th.
Do you want the motion to say prorated?
yes,
Yeah.
from January 4th to the end of the year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing nothing else, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, hearing none, it passes. Tony, talk to us.
Absolutely, thank you. We were informed late November that CSDE was raising our CRF allocation to $550,000. However, the mandate was that those funds had to be used for items expended by December 31st. With that being said, we were able to draw down just shy of $400,000 from this grant. I believe the total came out at $392 and some change. We're receiving those funds now, and we'll be using them between in January and February to offset some of the expenses that we've seen in the general fund. A second round of ESSER funding was announced. I have no numbers yet, unfortunately. We're just told that it's coming. Be patient, but there will be some additional funding coming to us.
Sorry, Tony, just before we go, what's the guesstimate you mentioned about the deficit currently?
It's in specific lines. Our salary and wages lines are going to be overdrawn this year unless we see reimbursement because we hired 3 additional teachers, 4 additional custodians. So that there are deficits in the salary and wages lines at this point. And I'm hoping that we'll get that money reimbursed and we'll be able to reduce those deficits. Zach Zemeski and Sullivan requested an extension of filing a certain piece of our audit, the state single audit to OPM. That extension was approved, and they will have it uploaded to the state by January 31st. The superintendent and I have begun to look at new medical insurance options this year, new brokers and new carriers potentially, but keeping obviously our plan designs exactly as they are right now. We're not looking to make changes to the plan designs that our bargaining units have agreed to. Our current broker Gallagher does recommend that we shop the market this year based on the preliminary rates that Anthem is coming back with. Speaking of Anthem, they recently completed an upgrade to their internal systems and transitioned us to a new billing platform. New ID cards were sent out to all staff. However, due to address changes and things like that, some staff did not receive them. So staff is working with Lee, who in result is working with Anthem to get those problems addressed.
I think it's been resolved by now though, right, Tom?
I believe, yeah, we pretty much worked through them by this point. We found out from Beacon Falls recently that we have some authorized bond debt that we're not having any intention of spending down. So I'm working to get that off of our books and get those closed out. They're based on, building this building and DES unspent funds essentially. So I am working with Dixworks and Dane Pitney to get those closed out so they don't show up as authorized dollar amounts anymore. And we were made aware sometime in December that special ed misbudgeted for a couple of their students, and they're going to need to draw approximately $166,000 from their unanticipated placement funds this year.
Just let me clarify that though. I don't want to say it's misbudgeted. They anticipated 2 students not to be in the region. One was from the off of 68 group home, and another was where we had the wrong tuition figure. So, you know, in my 7 years, I can't place blame on anybody, I'll take responsibility for that. We probably should have spent a little more time looking at our outplaced students. The good thing is, that's why we put unanticipated money into the account. So we had the money in there to pay for kids who were placed that we didn't know we were getting. So it's kind of, I think we could have done a better job, but we had the money in unanticipated just in case something like that happened. So, you know, I think we all own some of that, myself included. I can't put that on special ed department.
I got a question.
Yeah, sure.
Go, this bond debt, does that show in the audit somewhere?
The authorized bond debt?
Yeah.
No, it's the dollar amount that was authorized for the project. So let's say we authorized $30 million, but we only used $25 million. There's $5 million still showing as authorized out there that potentially we could draw against, but we don't have a reason to draw against.
All right, so
it.
we've never really borrowed.
No.
It never shows up anywhere.
No.
I think that came to fruition, correct me if I'm wrong, because the town of Beacon Falls pulled bond to do the bridge and the street repair, and they had to look at our debt because we are an expenditure for them.
That's correct.
So when you rate a school system, you know, you know, if you're an A-rated district, a double A rated, they look at what you have for debt, what you're paying, and what they realized is, we had, I don't know the number, because I didn't dive into it, which, let's say it was $5 million, that's just sitting there, so it counts against us, even though we're not paying against it, as far as your credit rating, basically. So we're just getting rid of an item that we've never spent money on, just sat there, that would reduce our credit rating. If we went to go finance the track next year, the borough, we would have uncovered it. Beacon Falls, and they did a really good job. They uncovered it because they were looking for debt, and they have to claim us as an expenditure. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
So we could draw on that if we wanted to?
Sure.
Right now, to fix the track?
It's very obvious.
It could be really good or really bad.
I mean, is it something we want to do, or even consider?
Well, you know, our
If we're
region
gonna
does
have a
not
tight
have,
budget coming up?
our region does not have a credit problem. I think that the best course of action is to close that down
Clear
in the
out and
past
just start
project.
anew.
And then if we need to start a new one, we certainly have the capability. to
I
do
would,
that.
that's what I would say too.
Is there any plus to using that money rather than close it out and then reapply?
There's no advantage to using that money.
Okay, that's the answer then.
Absolutely none.
That's the answer.
We only have $24 million in debt, we've reduced it, we're extremely healthy, we're probably a double A, I mean, we're a healthy region
That's the answer.
financially. You know, we cleaned up a lot. I think what we're gonna do is decide on February 10th if we're adding more money to our capital non-recurring. We can save money somewhere else. We're gonna get a pretty good number on that track, that's our big expense, and then we have about $750,000 we're gonna have to figure out. Either we knock it out to capital non-recurring, or we take more debt on, which I'm not a big advocate of
I'm
that.
not a big fan
So,
of taking any more debt at this point.
I'm kinda thinking we should close everything out and move, we're in really good shape. I think we should just move forward and see where we are right now, in my opinion.
Any other questions? Okay. Old business, the survey. Is everyone happy with the survey? Robert, were you happy with the survey?
I was, and thank you for putting it together. I appreciate it.
What I'm so surprised about, which is great, participation for the last 10 years has been awful. I don't care if you have a union meeting where people come to vote, if you do surveys. But one thing that came out of this pandemic and COVID is people participate. We've never gotten 230 staff responses or 750 family responses. I think the responses are great, and I think, Rob, I think it was a good idea to send the survey out. You can identify the common themes, which I've done, and the schools are working on them, and I think overall, I think it was a good survey.
Thank you for putting it together.
No, thank you.
How did this help us?
In my opinion,
Yes.
I think two things. I think number one, I think people want us, if you take the majority of the community, you know, when you think about a school district, of course, the first thing you think about is the students, how to meet student needs academically. The second thing you think about is what are the wants of the community. That's why we have 169 school districts in the state of Connecticut, especially a small region. And if you look at the survey, you can hear some good things from the parents. Hey, I want to see the kids go 5 days a week. Or you have some questions that you need to put in your newsletters. I've had to change my practice for communication a little bit. So the schools are sending out emails on if they have positive cases in school, and then on Friday I've been sending updates. So our communication has changed, and some of the things we're doing in school has changed. As well as we had a couple questions on attendance, for instance, when a distance learner is absent or a distance learner is present. So there's been some input because of the circumstances we're faced with, we've never dealt with before. It's helped us make some decisions. It really has.
Okay, then it's worth it. Just curious, two little things that, just tiny little things that bothered me on the staff survey. I have no idea which library it is. They're saying that in one of the libraries, they think there should be dividers so students can use the tables for their Chromebooks and classwork. They are currently balancing Chromebooks on their laps. Some have been dropped, and they're sitting on their knees to write color on their chairs. If this is so, can we not remedy this?
I don't know. I missed that comment. I think there was 1,200 comments. That
I
one
know.
I
You
could
know,
look into it.
Because we're in COVID, I got to read them all.
I missed that one. No, I read the majority of it. I missed that
But
one.
that one was like, I mean, it's little, and if we could just fix it, but I have no idea what school it's in.
Well, I know we're not gonna put the group tables back in at the media centers. I know that's not gonna happen.
Okay,
Because you can't put the dividers up on that.
okay.
I don't know, I'll ask the elementary principals about
I
that.
just-
Happy to.
I just
Michelle,
don't
would you ask them more about that another time? please?
And the other thing, midterm exams, there's a lot of, concern about, is it really gonna be authentic, is it fair, blah, blah, blah. But there's one little question in here. In one of the computer labs, I have no idea which one, they do lunches in there? They take their lunches in a computer lab?
In the middle school,
Okay,
because we couldn't keep the tent open in the winter,
okay.
we took the music room and the computer lab. It's not a computer lab, it was a computer class that Ms. Barone used to teach. However, when we went one-to-one, you don't need that computer room anymore because you're using the Chromebooks, not their hard tops. So
Okay.
what we did with the cohort model, we had to travel to a classroom anyway. So the business teacher, the science teacher, they go to where the kids are, the kids don't move. So it was an empty room anyway.
Okay,
And we use it now for lunch waves. So we have three lunch waves at the middle school, and we have 5 groups in each lunch wave, and they alternate. One day you're in the caf, one day you're in the music room with your group, so you move with your cohort, so you're not sitting with the other cohorts. You have 3 in the lunch wave, and then you move to 2 classrooms. That way we can fit the kids. If not, go and put the kids outside in the tent, and right now.
okay.
So that's why we use that.
I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I read it, I said,
Well, we're getting rid of our computer labs because we're 1-to-1, 6 through 12.
okay, no problem. I have just little questions.
No,
All right.
they're good questions.
Anyone else, questions, concerns? Okay.
Christine,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just
Oh, Christine, sorry.
wondering about the staff survey. So I'm assuming the administrators are addressing their concerns that were in there?
All the administrators got a hard copy of it all, and they were instructed to look at it and talk to their leadership teams with it.
Okay, thank you.
Generator report.
That's in your packet, we talked about it in
Right.
facilities.
So nothing has to be discussed.
No, we talked about it through facilities, and we are talking about what items we want in each school to have with the generator. Mark gave an update that he met with 2 vendors, and he's meeting with them again,
Probably next week or the week after, depends on how long it takes them to pull their information together.
So we should have a pretty good idea as far as cost the next meeting. No, you don't think so?
I'm thinking probably by the end of February, first meeting in March.
Okay.
Okay.
if we're lucky. Yes, if there's no snow, if they get the prints.
And
We could do it by April, we'd have to try.
do we have any other old business?
Just on our next board agenda, we're gonna talk about capital non-recurring, we're gonna talk about the 5-day week, we're gonna talk about the surplus, and I'm gonna have a parent advisory committee on February 10th at 5:30.
Okay. Anyone else want anything on the agenda added for the 10th? No, okay. Information items are in our packet. Enrollment is in our packet. It is down another 7 students, no, 4. We're at 4. Committee reports. Anyone that has something to say, just tell me.
Oh, I do have to add, I think we're gonna have a curriculum committee with the 24th of February, Michelle, we talked about that?
Yep. February 24th?
24th is curriculum committee, February 10th is PAC, and we had our other meetings tonight, and personnel just resolved the admin contract. What I will tell you is UPSU's coming up again,
Oh,
because we only did a one-year deal, I forgot to tell you that.
no, I
So,
knew that.
UPSU will be coming up.
I was waiting.
still up.
I was still waiting.
UPSU will be coming up, we started the process setting dates.
I thought it was
Okay.
still going
So
on.
because it's January,
Yeah.
and we don't really talk about it till February, can we ask them if they would like to give us some dates?
We already started, that's what I'm saying.
No, but I mean us dates,
We,
when we all meet, when the board meets with them.
we just
we
sent
did
an
ask
email
them.
out last week to submit some dates that I could run through with you, we started
Okay,
last week.
all right, because I'm trying to get dates for us, because that's where we
Yeah,
always
I
seem
should
to
have
get
those
in
by
the sludge.
Friday, we should have those this Friday.
Okay, it's just that
So
always
you
gets.
follow up with Jessica and Colleen, I actually spoke to her today.
Yes, because that's what we would like to do, is hard dates for a change.
Okay, we need to go into executive session.
That's all I was
For
gonna
the
ask.
purpose of,
Personnel issues,
okay,
and I spoke to the
James
person.
Boo's going.
What?
James Boo's.
Yeah, who's being invited?
Tony and I.
motion to go into executive session by Robert, seconded by Nubby.
Inviting, Michael Allen and Tony Gilliam.
Correct. Here's how I suggest we do this too. I suggest that we call the board members by the cell phone, because it didn't work out. How can we do this, Matt?
All right, so you gotta get just the board members on the line,
Yeah.
and I mean, we can simply ask that they exit the meeting, and, I mean, you'll see who is left on here.
Okay, so anyone but a board member needs to exit the meeting.
We're going into executive session.
I mean, I can kick them as well, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for staying.
Matt,
Michelle, as
Thank you,
always,
Michelle.
thank you.
Lovely to see everybody.
Michael, you guys
will arm
Yes,
when you're
guys. Miss you
What?
guys.
You guys will arm when you're done?
Yeah, yeah, I do it all the time, yeah.
Okay.
All right, now, in terms of the live
Isn't Joe
stream,
here till 10 a.m.?
just kill it, or you want me
No,
to
wait.
pause it and
No,
then you
I
kill it
think
after?
we have to come back and make a motion to adjourn, so pause the live stream, and then, what are you using, OBS Studio?
Yeah, we're using OBS Studio, so what I'm gonna do is kill the camera feed, mute the audio feed, and then you'll just bring those two back at the end and say, okay, we're done.
Okay.
In here,
Usually-
you can stop the stream.
I was gonna say, usually if they leave, then we just.
Jeff got-
It's the public, though, we're.
Jeff's
streaming.
gotta go.
We're streaming to the public as well, yeah.
We're gonna bump Jeff out.
We're gonna have to come back, and then we're gonna have to adjourn publicly.
Right, just
So-
to adjourn.
So I'll,
You made a
so Matt,
kid
kill the
move.
live stream, and I'll put it back on when we.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, so, give me 1 second, I know we gotta get rid of Jeff still.
Just, I made a mistake on a policy.
I'll text him.
You guys know.
Who's the, oh,
That's Roxy.
oh, okay.
Is Jeff in there still there?
Yeah, he's in here, I'll get him out.
I'll
Probably
call.
fell asleep.
Yeah.
For some reason I don't, it's, who's running the meeting if it's not me?
Now,
Oh, there he
we're
goes.
scared.
Oh, he's gone.
All right, hold on, don't start yet, because I do have to get the stream muted. This
Just
mute,
unmute those.
so now you can hear
Okay, I think we're back.
Motion by John, by Bob, and Nazzy. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you very
So,
much,
7,
Michael.
9 o'clock meeting for me, you, Lori, and Christine, please.